Hello, everybody. My name is Sarah Estelle, and I'm here today with Claire Troy. Thank you for being here with me, Claire.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Coming and joining in this Modern Day Priestess chat, where I'm on a bit of a mission to demystify what a modern day priestess looks like. And if you're wondering, it looks just like this. It's just two girls having a chat. And to just have a chat about what it means to be a priestess, why people might come into this kind of arena, and how it helps us in life and perhaps in business as well. So, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody, Claire?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, everyone. I'm Claire. I live in Dublin in Ireland. I'm an energy healer, flower and vibrational essence practitioner, and a craniopsychotherapist. And I have also been working in corporate world for 23 years. So, I've had a lot of masculine energy in my life. And I've tried to balance that then with my healing journey over the last probably 15 years to get more into the feminine energies and bring them into my life.
So yes, well, obviously you're a very experienced healer. And in the last few years, you decided something called you to, step into the temple, shall we say, and work with the priestess energies. Wasn't it something that for example, I always knew that I wanted to immerse myself in priestess energies. Was that the same for you, or did it come to you in a different way?
I think through my healing journey, I knew I had the priestess energies in me. So I'd had, recollections of past lives where I'd, seen myself as a priestess. But I guess at that time, the priestess circles weren't very popular. And certainly in Ireland, I wasn't really aware of any of that type of activity happening. So, and like I'd been to Glastonbury and, bought some books and read some books. But I didn't really think too much about doing anything about it, to be honest, until I saw that, you were offering the process. And then, yeah, that kind of grabbed me. But it wasn't something I really planned to do until you had offered it. And I just knew the first time you offered it, it wasn't quite the right time for me. But the second time around, I knew the timing was right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for sometimes it's in our consciousness, and for other people, as you said, you knew that you had those energies, there was memories in you on some level, and it was just time to step back into them. So this is a big question, and this is always an ever-evolving question for all of us. But what's the biggest difference that you've seen in yourself? And maybe there's not just one thing, but would you like to just share with us a little bit how becoming a priestess, because you are an emerged priestess and you're actually now following the high priestess path, so you've been doing it for a while. What are the biggest shifts that you are seeing in your life and your business?
I feel so even though I had already been on the path of the divine feminine and merging with those energies, I feel I've embodied them on a much deeper level. So I'm much more conscious of, the feminine qualities within myself, of aligning myself more with them and making decisions from that point, from that reference point, rather than I probably would have, been in my head a lot before and, made more logical decisions.
Okay.
So I feel like, I'm just much more embodied now and can feel and hear my intuition. And I was always quite intuitive, but I guess I feel it on a different level now. And I also have the courage to follow it. And that's probably the biggest change I've seen in myself, is having the courage to actually follow my intuitions. I think the other thing is having, embodied more of the feminine energies, more of my own source energies. When I'm not in alignment with myself and, with my source now, it's much more uncomfortable for me. So, I found myself in situations that are out of alignment. And before I could kind of put up with those uncomfortable situations, whereas now I just can't, I have to be much more authentic with myself and honor myself more on every level. So, that's in terms of, work, personal relationships, where I spend my time and my energy, how I spend it. That impacts every aspect of my life, I think.
So it kind of sounds as if it's just turned up the volume or the intensities, maybe not quite the right word, because we kind of associate with that something that's not unpleasant. And obviously change is never it's not always a complete breeze, is it? But it kind of sounds as if it's kind of turned the volume up a lot, which would make sense. Can we talk a little bit about when you talk about the feminine and the more masculine energies, you say you've been on the divine feminine path and you're now more in touch and your feminine energies are more embodied. Can you talk a little bit more about what you mean about that?
Yeah, I guess having studied as well, because I think, the educational system is still quite masculine based. So I've pretty much spent, my whole life in masculine structures where, there's an authority figure there telling you what to do. I pretty much felt that, I didn't have control over my own life. Somebody else was determining the days I worked, the hours I worked, did I get lunch or not, the amount of holidays you can have, all of that kind of thing. So then I think, as I was, getting to know the feminine energies, I mean, some of those were uncomfortable as well. I think, my initiation into the divine feminine was into the unknown and being comfortable in the unknown, which, I suppose it's a bit of a paradox because, most of the time we're not comfortable in the unknown. But it was learning to trust, when you're in that place of the unknown, learning to trust. It was, nurturing myself more, making space for myself. I would have had a history of overworking, working really long hours, taking myself out of situations and jobs like that, finding more time to be in nature. Now nature is probably the most important thing in my life. I can't function without connecting to the earth, connecting to the trees, the flowers, the waters. They really nurture me and nourish me. And then I think as well, just finding the balance with the masculine. And I've seen, when I'm able to balance the two. So it's not that, there's no masculine, because we all have our inner masculine, but it's finding the balance and then taking action from the feminine. And when I balanced, I was able to see where my masculine was out of balance. And then when I was able to balance the masculine and the feminine, I saw things change in my life literally overnight. So I know, we talked last year where it's a situation in work where, there were males that, I was having problems with, and literally overnight, once you had helped me through that, the whole dynamic changed and the issue went away just by me balancing my own masculine and feminine energies.
Yeah. I do remember that. It's super powerful, isn't it? And it's always quite a surprise, even for those of us who've been doing it for a while, that everything shifts from the within. Yeah, and that, of course, is the work of a priestess. Thank you, Claire. That's really clear, really, really clear. And so if you're watching this, I can see there's some people live here. Please, just say hello to us, give Claire some encouragement, because it's a brave thing to come and talk about these things live, because we don't know who's watching. So please do just give her some love and give her some encouragement if she's inspiring you. So before we actually went live, we spoke a little bit about what we might talk about, and we felt that maybe it might be really inspirational for you just to share a little bit about, because I think this is something that's happening for a lot of us, a lot of people right now. Either the work that they've been in for a long time just isn't happening anymore. There's a lot of people losing their work. And actually moving out of what you were talking about, having, somebody pay you every month and that there being that security. And obviously people have responsible positions and do great work, but, they're working to somebody else's values, if you like. And it's a completely different thing actually just bringing that completely through ourselves and being responsible for our own life and our business. It's a big shift and it takes a lot of courage. Now, you are in the middle of that right now, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, one of the, the situations I talked about where it got so uncomfortable that I just couldn't stay was the work I was doing. And then I suppose the other thing that was happening at the same time was I had a range of essences that I'd been creating over the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And the energy of the essences just got so loud that I couldn't ignore them anymore. So I had a lot of blocks around actually bringing them out into the world, which, was completely, on my side. The essences wanted to be out there and I was blocking them. And then through the priestess process, like one of the things was, I'd been given the name and I just, I guess I hadn't embodied it myself, so I couldn't put the essence range out there with the name that I'd been given. So I kept asking for a new name. And, I wasn't getting any, I was just getting the same name. And then with one of the weeks in the process when we'd gone to journey, to get messages, I was given the message as to why they had the name they had. And then once I understood that, then I was okay with the name. And then I could share them.
What's the name of your essences?
Divine Light Essences.
And can you share with us why they're?
They're called Divine Light Essences because they help people to find the divine light within themselves.
Mm. Mm.
And this time last year, I couldn't have shared that name publicly. And I couldn't, I wouldn't have been able to speak like this publicly either. So that has been another change. I've become more visible.
You have.
And
You're doing a great job.
A lot of the blocks that were there around the business have gone. And I wouldn't say, I still have other ones coming up, but the ones, to, I suppose, get it off the ground have dissolved enough that I can put myself out there.
Mm. And it's so lovely to see. It's really, really, really lovely to see. And it is something I see happening with people that come via the priestess process is that I guess one of the things that I'm curious about having these chats with different people is like my logical mind, it's like going, okay, so what is it? What is it? But I don't know if we're ever really going to be able to answer that question because we're actually talking about the feminine energies, which aren't quantifiable, but there is definitely something about it. It does help people share their divine light. And you're doing just that. Mm. So thank you, Claire. I'm sure that by you sharing, especially around your work situation, it's going to really help other people have the courage and the faith to stay true to their heart, which is, I think, the way forward right now. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Anything else that your priestess self wants to share before we say goodbye?
I guess I just feel it's a really important time at the moment for us to be in the feminine energies and really honor them and just try to just bring more feminine energy to earth. I think we just really need it at the moment. Mm. And men need it as much as women.
Mm. Yeah, that's a very good reminder. So when what we're talking about is heart-based energies, following our joy, following our passion. What does it mean to you? Bringing more feminine energy onto the earth.
As you say, being in your heart.
Yeah, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming from the heart. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Thank you for having the courage to come and share your priestess self with others. And we very, very much hope that it's helped people that are watching. Thank you once more.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.